When developing your leadership skills, you must soon ask yourself, what leadership style works best for me and my organization? To answer this question, it's best to understand that there are many from which to choose, and as part of your leadership development effort, you should consider developing as many leadership styles as possible. The types vary depending on research and situations. Some of them are dubbed as autocrats, bureaucrats, the laissez-faire, team leaders, servant leaders, charismatic, visionary, transactional, transformational, strategic, are among others. Leadership could be categorized into five major streams, each having its own distinct approach on how leadership is applied. Imagine yourself as a full-fledged leader. How are you going to be categorized as? Will you be a humble man who will nourish virtuous traits as he grows to lead? Will you work on it ambitiously and concentrate on how things are done by practice? Will you lead in versatility and balance as you work on it strategically? Would you even be with your followers and give them recognition in exchange of their commitment? Or will you prefer to change for the better along with your people? First, let's talk about the trait theory. Trait leadership focuses on the leader, not necessarily the followers or the situation. The leader needs to exhibit a certain set of traits to be effective. It supports the general image in the society that leaders are a special kind of people who can do extraordinary things. People have a need to see their leaders as gifted people, and the trait approach fulfills this need, but does not take the situation or the followers into account, focusing only on the leader. Although a bit antiquated, the trait approach works well when followers are asked to base their ideal leader in definite skills, intelligence, and capabilities, thus still used in circumstances such as presidential elections, nobility ranks, and appointing military leaders. Moving forward to our next stream, where the leader focuses on their followers' characteristics, the behavioral theory. Behavioral theory suggests that a person is not born with leadership skills, but gradually learns how to become one from watching other leaders. There are two ways that help us to define this type of approach. These are McGregor's Theory X and Y, which tackles the topic about whether approaching the subordinates positively or strictly, and Blake Morden's managerial grid, on which the model originally identified 5 different leadership styles based on the concern for people and the concern for production. One of the benefits of behavioral theories is that it can be used to motivate change in a short or long term. However, similar to trait approaches, some fell out of favor because they neglected the environment in which behaviors are demonstrated. These companies practices positive reinforcement, just like in Theory Y, to their employees. Positive reinforcement occurs when a positive stimulus is presented in response to a behavior, increasing the likelihood of that behavior in the future. Additionally, many reinforcement techniques, such as the use of praise, are inexpensive, providing higher performance for lower costs. McGregor's Theory X and Theory Y managers. McGregor's Theory X and Y assumed that the leadership style that is exercised by a manager is dependent on his beliefs about human nature, or what drives or motivates people to work. Theory X. Dislikes to work, good with repetitive work tasks, managers must be authoritative. Theory Y. Self-motivated, best with jobs that requires range of skills, managers are participative. Blake Mouton's managerial grid. The managerial grid is based on two behavioral dimensions: concern for people. This is the degree to which a leader considers the needs of team members, their interests, and areas of personal development when deciding how best to accomplish a task. Concern for results. This is the degree to which a leader emphasizes concrete objectives, organizational efficiency, and high productivity when deciding how best to accomplish a task. Using the axis to plot leadership concerns for results versus concerns for people, Blake and Mouton defined the following 5 leadership styles. Of course, not all factors fall on the leader and subordinates. The next theory will tackle different timely events. This is called the contingency or situational theory. Rather than trying to identify traits or behaviors that would be effective under all conditions, the attention moved toward specifying the situations under which different styles will be effective. Examples are Fielder's contingency model, the Hershey-Blanchard model of leadership, Tannenbaum and Schmidt's leadership continuum, and Adair's action-centered leadership model. Contingency and situational theory has also been proved to have predictive powers in determining the type of leadership that is most likely to be effective in a particular situation. Yet this approach is basically reactive in nature. It merely suggests what managers can do in a given situation. Fielder's contingency model graded by LPC or least preferred coworker scale. This model asks you to think about the person who you have least enjoyed working with. Having a low LPC will cause your team to view your distrust, while leaders with high LPC are considered to be most effective leaders. They are often thought to focus on building relationships first. Adair's action-centered leadership model. It highlights the key actions that leaders have to take when managing their teams: task, team, and individual. The model states that leaders must balance their actions if they want their group to succeed, as ignoring one or focusing too much on one aspect will cause the experience problems. Task, achieving the team's goal. Team, developing and building your team. Individual, helping individuals develop their full potential in the workplace. Tannenbaum and Schmidt is a simple model of leadership theory which shows the relationship between the level of freedom that a manager chooses to give to a team and the level of authority used by the manager. As the team's freedom is increased, so the manager's authority decreases. This is a positive way for both teams and managers to develop. There are 4 significant styles of leadership under this theory: autocratic, democratic, consultative, and persuasive. Autocratic, also known as the telling style. The leader takes the decisions and announces them, expecting subordinates to carry them out without question. Democratic, also called as the joining style. Though the final result rests in the manager's choice, the decision is heavily influenced by the employee's majority decision. Consultative. Consultative leadership is basically task-oriented and always focuses on the end result, by using the skills of others in formulating plans and taking decisions. But then, the final decision-making power is always retained with the leader. These type of leaders pay more attention in stimulating creativity and innovation. Persuasive, the selling style. They share the same qualities as the autocratic leaders, deciding without the consent of his subordinates. But unlike the latter, the persuasive manager will spend more time working with their subordinates in order to try to convince them of the benefits of the decision that have been made. The Hershey-Blanchard model of leadership states that instead of using just one style, successful leaders should change their leadership styles based on the maturity of the people they're leading and the details of the task. There are four leadership styles in this particular approach, namely directing, coaching, supporting, and delegating. Directing. Provide specific directions to their employees. Coaching. Set goals for employees and encourage them to reach their goals. Supporting. Provide emotional support to employees. They treat employees well, care about them on a personal level, and they are encouraging. Delegating. Make sure that employees are involved in the making of important decisions. While there are vast amounts of possibilities that could happen in every condition, there's a theory that bases the leader's action along with his subordinates' decision and betterment. This is called leaders and followers theory. Then for the last approach, this is suitable for groups with members who have multiple skills and has equal tasks in both following and leading. Then for the last approach, this is suitable for groups with members who have multiple skills and has equal tasks in both following and leading.